Hey, welcome to a new video on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. This marks video number 1 of silly season, and that means trade rumors, all of the news. In today's video, we're going to start with a conversation around Dan Houston. Now, it's been widely reported over the last few weeks that he has an intention to leave Port Adelaide. We then saw a retraction from that.
No, I'm not leaving next year. Contract there, I wouldn't have signed the contract if I wasn't, keen on Adelaide or keen on Port Adelaide. And, I love the place, I love the footy club, and the footy club's been good to me. So, I'm committed to Port Adelaide.
Now it's being reported that there is interest from the Carlton Football Club. So I think it's important that we unpack this situation. So let's take a look at Dan Houston and strengths, weaknesses, opportunities that might be there for us. So what do we know about him? Well, Dan Houston is a 27-year-old born on the 12th of May, 1997. So we're talking about an all-rounder that can play in multiple positions. I think I know him more so for playing behind the ball. When I think of Dan Houston, I think of a guy that plays behind the ball and runs and carries and gains meters. And when I looked into, what makes him who he is, it does all marry up. So this is a 2-time All-Australian, 2023 and 2024. He was in the leadership group at Port Adelaide this year in 2024. He's played 168 games. The important attributes when I think of Dan Houston and why would there be any interest in him? Well, what do we need? We need a lot. We need good kicks. This guy's a good kick. He averages 16.7 kicks a game and he goes at an 81.5% disposal efficiency. So he kicks the ball long, high meters gained per game, 488 per game, averages 23 disposals a game. So he's a good ball user. His disposal gains territory, which are two things that really fit with what we do. We like to play a territory game and we are in need of good ball users, everywhere, but the style that we're trying to add to our game is one where we need good ball users in the back half. An interesting stat about him as well with Port Adelaide, he is involved in 19% of Port Adelaide's score involvements in 2024. So about 1 in 5 times that they score, he's a part of it. So breaking it down, do we need Dan Houston? I think we need the attributes that Dan Houston has. Do we need Dan Houston's salary? That's the part that messes me up a little bit. These attributes remind me of Zach Williams as the halfback flanker. And so do we need to still find what we were looking for with Zach Williams? Or do we need to bite the bullet and understand that, hey, we have Zach Williams now, and therefore I don't know if there's room for Dan Houston. Where would he exactly fit is what comes to mind for me. There could be a reshuffling. Sard, Newman, some of these types, do they get pushed up the ground? Do we rejig the makeup of that back line? Am I thinking too much around Dan Houston just as a halfback flanker? Maybe he would become a midfielder. I don't know. Overall, I'm not really sure that we need Dan Houston in particular because we've tied ourselves up with the makeup of the list already. And I'm mindful of what he would cost. I don't know the exact details of what his salary would be. I don't know the exact details of what salary we have available. I would suppose that, we're in the conversation for Will Hayward earlier in the year, so there's got to be some wriggle room there. Mindful of Tom de Koning's, contract coming up, Jacob Wiedering's extension coming up, and these types. So I think the relationship with Michael Voss would help. There'd be an element of trust between his role and what Vossi wants. Overall, I'm leaning more towards the side of I don't think we need him. I would love him. I like him as a player and I like what he has to bring, but I don't see him as someone that we need at the top of our priority list. But that's just how I see it. I'm struggling to make sense of it right now. So that's that. What about you? What do you feel about this news? At this stage, it's all speculation. Apparently, there's been a meeting. maybe there's been a coffee. I'm not sure. But when you see this news and when you read this news, what comes to mind for you? Let's chat about it in the comments below.